Hello, we are moving on to chapters 18 and 19, volume 3 of Great Expectations, chapters 57 and 58, if your edition is the chapters are ordered that way. So in this chapter, Pip suffers a really serious illness. He's kind of passing in and out of consciousness, but when he kind of comes to, he realizes that Joe has been there caring for him, that he's been by his side, that he's been loving him. And, throughout this, Pip is coming more and more in confronting his actions toward Joe and is feeling so incredibly ashamed of how he has treated Joe and says that he doesn't even deserve his kindness and doesn't deserve any of this. And we know that there's always been this ambivalence within Pip, that he's always, felt affection and love for Joe, but yet he's cared about what Estella thinks and what Miss Havisham thinks and what Bentley Drummle thinks and what Herbert thinks, and he thinks all these things. And so he's kind of been wrestling, but now it's like he's decidedly chosen that he cares about his friend. This is an incredible growth in Pip. So we learn from Joe that who tells Pip that Miss Havisham has died and that she left, a great wealth to Matthew Pocket, and she says that she's left it on account of Pip speaking so well of Matthew Pocket's character. So once again, Pip has done something good. And we also learn that Orlick is in prison, that he had robbed and tortured Mr. Pumblechook. And of course, Mr. Pumblechook is not our most sympathetic character, but even still, it's kind of a sad justice. So Pip also sets out to tell Joe the truth about his benefactor, but Joe says there's no need. There's no need. We're good friends. I don't need to know. And, it's almost that Joe doesn't want Pip to humble himself to that way, or doesn't want Pip to be ashamed, to feel that. He's kind of protecting him. But as Pip gets well, Joe becomes more and more self-conscious around him. And so look at page 429. Just want to read a little bit here. Another thing in Joe that I could not understand when it first began to develop itself, but which I soon arrived at a sorrowful comprehension of, was this. As I became stronger and better, Joe became a little less easy with me. In my weakness and entire dependence on him, the dear fellow had fallen into the old tone and called me by the old names, the dear old Pip, old chap, that now were music in my ears. I too had fallen into the old ways, only happy and thankful that he let me. But imperceptibly, though I held by them fast, Joe's hold upon them began to slacken. And whereas I wondered at this, at first, I soon began to understand that the cause of it was, in fact, mine. All of it was mine. Had I given Joe no reason to doubt my constancy and to think that in prosperity I should grow cold to him and cast him off? So he realized, what? No wonder Joe is concerned about me getting stronger. He's going to, think again that he's inferior to me, that I don't want to be around him, that I'm going to push him away, that I'm going to leave him. And so Pip is distraught, absolutely distraught that he has treated Joe in this manner. And then at the end of the chapter, he wakes up and finds out that Joe has actually left. He wrote a note, like a nice note, goodbye. Biddy's taught him to write, actually. And he leaves a receipt that he's paid off all of these debts that Pip has owed. So Pip is thinking and decides that, he's going to return to the forge. He's a different person. He says, I must go back. I'm going to work alongside Joe in the forge. I'm going to ask Biddy if she'll marry me. And so there's this complete change in him that, all of a sudden this Pip who only cared what other people thought cares now about the people around him. He returns to his town and the people there treat him badly. They used to fawn all over him. Now they just kind of reject him. But when he heads to the forge and gets there, he finds out that Joe and Biddy have just been married. And of course he celebrates with them, even though, he has been thinking he'd ask Biddy, but he celebrates. He decides that he's going to go abroad to work with Herbert and, make enough money that he can pay back what he owes to Joe. And he says to them, you know, please forgive me. And Joe says, oh, dear old pippled chap, God knows as I forgive you if I have anything to forgive. And Biddy, amen, and God knows I do. And so he leaves in peace. You know, these people that he cares about and that he loves, they love him back. And so this is a different Pip leaving now. You know, it's not the same Pip that left to go to London years ago to become a gentleman. This is a Pip who values his friendships. So he goes and works with Herbert, and they actually do very well. And even though they're not these, you know, idle gentlemen who just kind of have it free and easy, they are very well respected middle-class merchants making a good living. He's able to make enough money to pay back all that he owes, to, you know, send money to Joe. And, you know, it's also, he has a career. He finally has something that he can take pride in, right? He continues to keep in touch with Joe and Biddy, and that concludes chapter 19.